Hello everybody, this is Jason Bright with JoMoCon Committee, and for this video we want to introduce you to the charity that we're going to be featuring in JoMoCon. So the charity we're going to be fundraising for while entertaining you. And with me today is the one and only director of Hearts and Hammers of Joplin, that charity. His name is John Clayton. John, how you doing?
Good to be here, Jason.
I appreciate you coming to do this.
Sure, my pleasure.
Yeah, so just gonna ask you some questions, and you just let us know, and that way our audience gets to know the charity better.
That'd be just fine.
So let's start with the basics. Just what is Hearts and Hammers and what does it do?
We're what I would refer to as a Christian nonprofit. We have all the 501c3 legal designations that we need to be tax exempt and to be a tax deductible. If you donate, they can be deductible for the person that's donating.
Right.
We basically just bring the blessings of God to people in mostly exterior home repair. What we seem to be getting famous for is wheelchair ramps, and there seems to be an extreme need for those.
Right.
So we've built, oh goodness, probably close to 200 in the past couple of years of those particular things. Mostly exterior repair, like porches and steps and some siding repair. We try not to do anything interior-wise.
Okay, so mostly exterior. Mm-hmm. All right. I have to ask you, so you put this charity together, right?
Not really one of the original people.
Oh, okay.
Actually, my son, Scott Clayton, the director of Habitat for Humanity, was one of the original people, along with some pretty high-profile people.
Okay.
Gary Shaw, that has been on the city council for years.
All right.
Jeremy Brown, who's a pretty noteworthy attorney in Joplin. My son, Scott Clayton, a guy named Joe Borchak. Actually, it was Scott's I don't know what they call the social. He has a degree in sociology, and it was his.
Like a social worker?
Yeah, social worker.
Okay.
It was part of what he did when he worked at the community clinic.
Okay. Well, the reason I was asking is I was going to ask if you happen to be the one to fill out the paperwork to become a 501c3 charity, because that's a mess and quite the chore.
It is for a fact. And Jeremy Brown was very beneficial in doing that for us. Now, whether or not you can establish a relationship with him, I don't know. But,
that's right.
Yeah. And
we went through some channels, but yeah, it's quite the chore.
It is.
So I just want to share the pain with you.
Yes, and it has, and I'm glad that pain's over for us. I hope it will be for you.
I think we're through it by this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now you just enjoy being a charity and doing the charitable work.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So what was it? Well, actually, when and what was it that got you to get involved in Hearts and Hammers and doing this charity?
We were established in 2003, so we've been around quite a little while.
Okay.
What we started out doing was just a 1 day a year of work day, but it took a lot of while I was still working. It took a lot of Saturdays to line jobs out, to have hundreds of people on a work day, and we still yet have that work day. It's always the last Saturday of September, and it's done in partnership with a lot of churches. St. Paul's Methodist Church is involved, and Habitat for Humanity is a partner with us all during the year and during that work day. But 4 years ago, I retired from a job that I'd had for a long time and made a full-time job out of Hearts and Hammers. And when you can put full-time emphasis on something, you can get a lot more done.
Right, yeah. And running charity is a full-time job.
It is for a fact.
Yeah, so was there any particular situation in your own life that got you involved, or just you said your son helped start it?
Right, and he kept urging me. He said, "Dad, you need to get on this. It suits you well." So he was right.
He's bringing you into the family business.
Yep, that's right.
All right. Well, you answered actually the next question I was going to ask, which was what are the more common jobs that you guys tend to do for people around Joplin? You said that the wheelchair ramps are by far number one.
That seems to be the greatest demand.
Yeah.
We just built one today it took us 1 day to prefab and probably a total of 1 day to build it. But it was a 48-footer and refurbished their deck, put handrails around their deck. So that's kind of a typical job for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 days for a wheelchair ramp.
Mm-hmm.
That seems quick to me. I've never done one, but it seems pretty fast.
Yeah, we've got a terrific volunteer base. I think that's what's grown more in the past years than anything else, is guys just saying, hey, this is a good thing to do. You know,
Yeah.
Seeing a grandma cry as she goes down her wheelchair. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, that's good for volunteers.
That's true. Besides wheelchair ramps, what else would you say are some of the major jobs you tend to do for people?
I've got some connections with, there's a lot of partnerships when you do what we do. Mm-hmm. Economic security is one. Okay. We kind of swap jobs back and forth. If they know somebody that needs something done that's up our alley, they'll refer it to us. And then major home refurbs we can't do because we're just not that big.
Right.
They'll refer back to them, or Habitat's Brush with Kindness program. So you network a lot.
Yeah.
Independent living's an excellent partner with us. They have a lot of people, but their goal is to try to keep people in their home rather than going into a nursing home. So
Yeah.
that what they love about us is our volunteer labor. What we love about them is they're a resource for material. So that's another terrific partner that we have. So we can do some HVAC jobs in cooperation with somebody air conditioner goes out.
Right.
Sometimes we can work with Midway Sheet Metal and Economic Security's home modification, they've got a term for it. But anyway, Economic Security's got a program for that.
It sounds like you guys coordinate really well with the other resources around here.
Right. Yeah, it's good to be acquainted with a lot of good folks that do the same things that we do. And
Absolutely. It's about who you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. It's a who you know world.
Have you had a lot of air conditioning jobs lately? Because I imagine that'd be a huge one during the summer.
Weatherization is what I was trying to think of. Economic Security, weatherization have state-funded money for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the people have to meet the criteria that they have, income-wise and so on. But yeah, there was a couple just last month.
Okay. And actually, since you mentioned it, I was going to ask you, I mean, I think it's pretty self-evident at this point, but what kind of people do you tend to help or that apply
People
for
that
this?
would be of, $2,000 a month or something, gross income.
Right, so
that
low
would be the income guidelines. We prefer them to be a homeowner. Or even though we've done wheelchair ramps on rentals before, it's just something that's best if they are the homeowner, or at least got a letter of approval from the landlord.
Okay. And do senior citizens tend to be a huge chunk of your population, obviously, for wheelchairs, I imagine?
That particular demographics, the lion's share of who we work for.
Right. Well, and that's really good that they're able to get you guys as a resource for those repairs, because home repairs cost so much money if you're just a normal homeowner,
Right.
and you don't have access to those kind of resources.
Yeah, and people are incredibly busy that do that kind of work.
Right.
That's what I've found. That a lot of people will call and say, "Are you really going to show up?" Because several haven't.
That's true. Or they schedule you months in advance because they're just backed up.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yep.
So I'm glad you guys are doing that. Let's see. So you mentioned that volunteers become a real force for your charity lately. So how many do you tend to have for, let's say, a particular job or a usual job?
Between 6 and 8
Okay.
guys. Actually, that's the trickiest part about what I do, because I compete with haircuts, doctor's appointments. I can't tell you what all that retired guys have got on their plate.
Right, with life.
Yeah, that's right. So, putting a job together, getting the people together, starts with the job that we're on. Like today, I'm planning on jobs for next week. And so, well, what do you got going?
Yeah.
So it's really just kind of a management juggling act, but it is the trickiest part.
Okay.
And
I can see that.
yeah.
Can anyone join as a volunteer? Is it a particular process?
Yeah. Skilled labor is always a plus, but it's not absolute.
Yeah.
Somebody that can run an impact driver and drive screws, that's what we do a lot of.
Okay.
It does take a great lot of skill. People dragging boards, for somebody that does know what to cut up and put down. We've got skilled labor on what we do. Then, and volunteers, we did a couple of jobs for an outfit called the Youth Volunteer Corps. And we built some food boxes just this past month.
Very cool.
That they're going to be distributed around through the area. We built 4, I think.
Okay.
Last year we built some picnic tables with the Youth Volunteer Corps. We built some little library boxes with the Youth Volunteer Corps. So there's a little variation in what we do.
Is that like the little lending librry box like you find in a neighborhood?
Yeah, same thing.
All right.
Look like a little cabin set on a post. Yeah.
I've seen those.
Yeah.
All right. One thing I did want to ask you is there any particular job you've done in the past, like a particular person you helped that story just really stands out in your mind as a great example, like this is why I'm doing this?
Well, you're liable to make a fat old man cry, but yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a little boy that was in a car wreck with his dad. His dad was drunk, didn't have him in a car seat, slammed his head into the dash, and now he's brain damaged for the rest of his life. Now, who wouldn't want to build a wheelchair ramp for him?
I'm glad you guys were able to do that.
Yeah.
It's the least.
Little girl that was born with a lot of birth defects. Yeah, same deal.
I didn't mean to pull any heartstrings.
That's all right.
But thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the questions I had for you, really, to kind of get to know the charity better. But would you like to tell our viewers like how they can find out more information about your guys' charity, or find out how to help or donate?
By and large, the best way is to contact us through heartsandhammersjoplin@gmail.com. We would love to have any kind of help that we can get, whether it's skilled labor, unskilled labor. If you like working around a bunch of crusty old men, you're our kind of folks. So yeah, it would be probably the best way to contact us back through the website.
Remember guys, we're not just having this convention because we're huge anime nerds. We're doing this to support a charity that positively impacts the Joplin community. So help spread the word. The more people we have in this convention as attendees, the more likely we'll be able to raise some good funds for Hearts and Hammers of Joplin so they continue to keep doing what they're doing. So find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter, share any messages we send out with updates for the convention, and like what we got on there. So John, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.